All right, everybody. We're back. Last week was a little hiatus. I was on vacation, wasn't going to be able to make it work. We did get our picks out, and it was a heartbreaker. I had Bryson DeChambeau at a pretty good number, 28-1.
Heartbreaker for who?
For me.
What about
Bryson
for me?
DeChambeau, 28-1. We were head-to-head there. Grant had Cantlay, so it was a good week for us having the two guys that were in the playoff to win. Bryson missed some makeable putts, and Cantlay made them all. That was pretty much the difference. Pretty long playoff. You got to watch it.
Yeah, it was dramatic, which was great. It was a great way to head into this. I think it's also safe to say that Caves Valley probably won't be seeing many more PGA Tour events.
Yeah, definitely not a playoff event.
Yeah, definitely not a playoff event with the way those guys were playing there and the way the Bombers were just absolutely destroying that course. Cantlay bombed it, but also just made every putt. It was unbelievable. Really fun. The whole Bryson, he got mad that he was walking while he was practicing, getting ready to shoot his shot. I mean, Bryson just kind of on edge now, just with the fans yelling at him. That ESPN article about him confronting a fan at the ropes was really interesting. So
yeah, that was wild.
So it seems like we're going to start getting a little bit more discipline on fans on how they're acting out there. So I hope just, nothing crazy happens because you just want, at the end of the day, we want to see these guys play against each other and, give the best guys the best chance to win. But at the same, it's like, I mean, how much can you police a guy talking to Bryson? I mean, he lets every little thing get to him. And now everything, all the attention that he wanted in the beginning from the PIP stuff is now kind of biting him in the ass.
Yeah, it's taken a weird turn. I kind of thought it had gone away at least a little bit after, like the U.S. Open. It kind of peaked a little before that, and then we hadn't heard a lot about it. But yeah, and when he's on the main stage like that, and the cameras are just focusing on him for like I don't know, probably an hour. That playoff probably took close to an hour. Something's bound to happen. He's just too. Yeah. He's too Bryson. Like, that's just what he is. He just can't get out of his own way. But, good week for us in that sense. We having the two guys like that. I missed my matchup by one stroke. Kevin Na, Kokrak played like two stellar rounds on Friday, Saturday, and jumped him and beat him by one. But so it was a little bit of a heartbreaking week for me. I lost some close ones, but overall, good for us.
You won Sam Burns also. Your pick for Sam Burns was good. I'm going to have him on my card this week. I think him being able to hit it so far, he's going to be able to play with some of the big boys this weekend. And I just want to say it now. My margins, this is bullshit. There's never been this many like playoffs in a golf season. It's unbelievable. So we've switched up the margin pick coming later, but we switched it up in an interesting direction. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah, that's we've had a lot of playoffs, and we've had some weirdly long playoffs. That was another 6-holer, I think, this week. So, yeah, been weird. Keep riding it. Eventually, it's going to come back around, and we're not going to see playoffs for a while. But this week, tour heads to East Lake Golf Club in Atlanta, Georgia, for the Tour Championship. This is a classic stop. They've been coming here forever for the Tour Championship, and it's only 30 guys. And this is for all the marbles. The winner gets $15 million, and the payouts are crazy for placements for FedEx Cup. So jockeying for a position, even for like 9th or 10th, is going to be a monster payout. So
if you're in the top 5, you win like as much as you win at the Masters. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah,
nuts.
And this is a different format. They've been doing this format for the last 2. This will be the 3rd year of this format. The players are starting at a given number of strokes under par or all the way down to even par to try to change what they had done in the past. The past, they just kept the points going, and basically whoever won this event, if they were up pretty high, just won. So they kind of wanted to keep it that way, so like the suspense was still on, like whoever wins wins, and they're doing it by staggering players based on strokes. So like this week, Cantlay starts at 10 under since he's leading the points, and then it falls down the points from there. Finau at 8, Bryson at 7, Rahm at 6, Cam Smith at 5. That's the top 5, and from there it's like grouped in groups of like 4 or 6 down to even par. So like Reed and Horschel, those guys are starting down at even, so they start 10 behind. They got a lot of strokes to make up. Last year DJ started at 10. He was on a super duper heater. He was able to hold off JT and Xander to go the distance. But the first year, Rory started at -5, so it can happen, especially if somebody puts together a really really good round tomorrow and basically cuts all the strokes away immediately. Guys at 4 like JT and Spieth, if they shoot a 6 or 7 under round tomorrow and are only down by 1 or 2, the game's already changed right there.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to expand on this a little bit. I talked to you about the top 10 research that I did earlier this week. Is that I went through and listed the top 10 from the past 2 years, the only 2 years that they've done this format, and then looked at the starting strokes for each of the players in that top 10 grouping. 2019 did have 11 players. That's just because there was two guys that were tied. But there's an interesting amount of guys that started at 3 or lower, and if that's like a 2, 3, or 1. There's even a guy that started at 1 that was in the top 10. There's been 6 both years. So guys in that range can come up and finish in that top 10 grouping. But to win, like you said, DJ started at 10, which is the top one. Rory at 5. Xander has been tied for second both years. He started at 3 and he started at 4 the other year. And then JT at 7 and Brooks started at 7. So to win, I'm honestly kind of looking at 4 or higher for me to even look at guys who could win.
Definitely.
But I think we're going to talk about it here later on. Is there's going to be some value in top 10s and other bets because these guys with strokes down there, if they play well enough, they can get up and finish pretty high.
Yeah, it's like any other week. A few of the guys from the top are not going to play good, and
Right.
while there's a difference in strokes, it's 2 or 3 strokes. It'll be made up pretty quickly for those guys who don't play well. And these are the best players in the world. I mean, these are the best players, basically. And they're gearing up for a lot of money. So you're going to see some really, really good golf at Eastlake, which is a difficult course for the most part. It challenges every aspect of your game. It's par 70 over 7,300 yards. So it definitely helps to hit it pretty far, as we've seen Xander and DJ have had good success, and Rory obviously dominated in 2 years ago, and he's won it another time. So length certainly doesn't hurt, but you have to be accurate. The rough is super,
Right.
super thick Bermuda. There's some places out there where you're going to have to lay it up if you're in the rough because there's water that you got to carry, and taking that chance of whether or not it's going to come out good is tough. So the other thing, the best ball strikers have really done well here. It's a really, really good iron players have done exceptionally well here. It asks a lot of your iron game because if you miss, you're in some nasty, nasty stuff around the green. So I think that for me, obviously this field is super loaded. Everybody's good at everything. I want guys who have either one like super elite skill or somebody who's just has kind of the whole package, is good at everything, gonna keep it in play type guys.
Yeah, this is the list of guys who have won it since 2015, and we've been at the same course the whole time since like 2004. I think we've been here since the first. DJ, Rory, Tiger, Xander, Rory, Spieth. And then you look at the leaderboard of guys who start at 4 or higher, which we think the winner's going to come from, right? You have Finau in that list. Is Finau going to join the list that I just talked about? I don't know. He will. Is Cam Smith going to join the list that I just talked about? Probably not. Is Sam Burns going to join that list? Probably not. So there's not that many guys who I really think could win the tournament.
Definitely.
And as you talked about, I think ball strikers, guys who are elite, guys who can do these, they're up there in that grouping. If you're going to get that win, I think we're going to have to it's going to be pretty selective come Sunday.
Definitely. It's going to be the elite guys. I mean, you may see, Cam Smith starts high enough up there, and like Abe has been playing really good. Those guys that are already kind of in the mix to start, you could see them in it, but I don't necessarily think they're going to win. I think this is, looking at the list, it's Cantlay, Bryson, Rahm, JT, Spieth, and maybe Morikawa if he can figure out what the hell is going on with him the last couple of weeks. I think it's like those 6 or 7 guys. Right. Everyone else starts pretty far back. They'd have to get a lot of help. I mean, they have to jump so many really, really good players. I just don't think it's going to happen. And that's kind of where I'm starting. One other thing I do want to mention is the Bermuda greens. It certainly seems to make a difference for guys. I have a couple guys who are really, really good Bermuda players here, putting wise. If you look at strokes gain data here, putting definitely matters. I mean, there's going to be some monster putts on the line on Saturday and Sunday. So having those gonads to make the big ones on Bermuda is important. But I'm starting with Justin Thomas. I can definitely see why people want to go and take Cantlay, Bryson, or Rahm and just ride it and pick one. But I like the 16-1 number on JT. He's got a lot of ground to make up, and he really needs to start fast on Thursday. He can't, if he gets even farther behind, he's probably done. But he's got the firepower to go out and shoot like 7 or 8 under and catch up all in one day. And that's what I'm looking for. If I'm going to go down here and get one of these guys at 4 or 5, I want them to be able to just make it up just as soon as possible. And JT has the firepower to do that. He's played really well at this course. He was right in the mix last year. He just was too far behind DJ, and DJ was just way too good to come up. And he has like 6 or I think 5 other top 8s at the Tour Championship. So he's been good at this course. The course sets up well for him to just ball strike the hell out of it. And he's a decent Bermuda putter who has the streakiness that I like having to come from behind.
Yeah, I really like JT this week. I got a couple of things. I think you have them later on in your card, but his finishes since 2016, 6th, 2nd, 7th, 3rd, 2nd. So yeah. I think he's got it, and obviously we know anything with him is his ceiling is so high. Like he's as high as anybody here. If he can, I almost like to look at it as if, like you said, the gain on the first day is that you're almost like resetting every single day. Like you're getting through the first day and you're thinking, okay, at what day can I stop playing catch up? What day is now I'm just in the mix with the guys at the top. So we hope to see him there. Like come Saturday, he's like at the top, right? But I got some other guys to bet too, so I think we're gonna have some pretty good players.
Yeah, those like Spieth and JT both starting at 4 are kind of, and I would say DJ at 3. I think is he starting at. Those guys, they're gonna have to get off to a hot start, because if they go, they're starting 7 behind Cantlay. They're starting 4 or 5 behind DJ or behind Bryson. Like, you got to make it up, and you can't come into Saturday down like 6 with 5 awesome players to jump. You just can't. Right. So Thursday and Friday, they got to get off to a good start, and I think that you'll probably see one of them do it.
Yeah, I have John Rahm on my card at 330. This is insane. This is an absolutely crazy bet. And I have it here on the card. People will see it on Twitter later. Is that I think parlaying it with who you think will win the Ryder Cup is not a terrible idea. When you look at these things, it's kind of like it fits the narrative, right? John Rahm had his win at the Memorial stolen by Patrick Cantlay, who's now in front of him in the first place coming into the weekend, right? Who then took his third win took the win this past weekend as his third win, kind of stole the shine. This is John Rahm's season. It has been the whole year. He won his major. He's got 5 top 10s in a row. This is just kind of like to top the year off for John Rahm. He's better than everybody else. He's number 1 in the world ranking. This is his year. I hate the number 330, but I honestly think John Rahm is going to win this tournament. It just fits what's going to happen for this season of the golf season. Pick whoever you think is going to win the Ryder Cup. I think you have a lot better odds if you go with Europe, because I think they're plus money, and USA is like minus 200. Parlay with John Rahm to win, and then once he wins, you'll just have a boosted ticket for the Ryder Cup.
Yeah, I like it. He's been just unbelievable. Like every time he plays, it's like a top 10 for like 3 months. So it's hard to go against him. In the end, he didn't get it done 2 weeks ago when he was like clearly the odds-on favorite to win the Northern Trust. Like he should have won that tournament. He hit a couple bad shots coming down the stretch. Like he's due to win another. I mean, he just is. I mean, he won the Open or the U.S. Open, but since then he's kind of been around the hoop a little bit, and he's a proven winner at this point. I think that this is the next kind of step for him. We saw this with guys in the past. Like JT and Rory, they get a first major about the same time they get their first FedEx Cup. He's just the best player in the world right now, and it's not necessarily that close. So I don't mind picking one of him, Cantlay or Bryson, and just going for it this week. You could do way worse than those guys starting way up top in front of everybody. So, yeah, that's where I would go also if I was going to pick between the three of them.
Yeah, it fits, and I like it. I think it should be inevitable when it comes Sunday and be like, wait, John Rahm won the year. It's like, well, yeah, that makes sense. He's the best golfer in the world, and this has been his year the whole year. So I don't understand. It just makes sense.
Yeah. My next guy, and this is without strokes, so you can bet, first, winner, top 5, top 10, top 20, or top 10 with the starting strokes, or you can make bets where it doesn't consider those. Like Xander last year won the tournament, not counting the starting strokes. And I'm going to bet Daniel Berger 25-1 to win without starting strokes. He's starting down there in that area where we were talked about, like, guys, sometimes they'll just jump way up. He's starting at even par down there at the bottom. He makes perfect sense for this golf course because he's really good at everything. He's a really good driver of the ball. He hits quite a few fairways. He's a good iron player, and he's an awesome Bermuda putter. He is one of the best Bermuda putters on tour. Over the last 50 rounds, he is 5th in strokes gained putting on Bermuda. It just makes perfect sense for him. He's got a little bit of history here. Top 15, all 4 of his tries. So not awesome, but still not bad. And I just like his all-around game and his putter to get hot. And he's chasing. I like that he's starting pretty far down. He's starting all the way at the bottom. He's going to try to make it up in a hurry, and he can make a ton of birdies. So I don't really care where he finishes overall. But if he wins the tournament, he's probably going to make himself the big chunk of change.
Yeah, the money is a big part of this bet because it incentivizes him way far back to be that motivated to get up there. That money for finishing in the top. If he gets to the top 10, that's a huge win on the weekend. That's huge.
Yeah.
That's so much money. That's more than he would get for just winning a damn tournament during the year, some crappy tournament in the spring. So I like it. There's huge incentive for these guys in the back to play really well. And he's a guy with, like you said, who has an all-around game, who could just fire off at 1 or 2 days in a row and be way up there with the big names.
Yeah, he's been playing good too. He's got 2 top 10s in his last 4, and his 2 starts where he wasn't top 10, he just putted poorly, and that was on bent where he doesn't putt that good. So his approach game is been money, and he's got the rest of it. So maybe we'll see him take home that the victory. That's not a victory like Xander did last year.
Yeah, very on brand for old Xander. I'm going to go with a 28-1 on Spieth. You need to shop this number around a little bit because I think it's lower on DraftKings. It was like 22 or 20.
Yeah.
Jordan Spieth is kind of right on that number, which I'm considering, but it's pretty far. It's 4, which is 6 strokes off the lead. But Spieth fits the bill for what I said earlier, is that a super stud is going to win this event. I think it's a decent number for a guy of his caliber. His form isn't amazing, but the numbers aren't bad. He's doing fine. He's right there, and he has that magic stuff in him. Whatever he has, they can get going. Studs wins this. He's a stud. If his putter starts to really get hot, and he gets if we'll have to get a little lucky on this number that Rahm doesn't play crazy well. If Rahm plays well, then it's going to be a wrap by Saturday.
Right.
But I think if one of those top guys doesn't pull away with it, and Jordan Spieth plays okay, he'll be in the mix. And I like 28-1 because that's way better than all those other numbers at the top.
Yeah, I mean, I think DJ's 11, and JT, like I mentioned earlier, is 16, and Spieth is 28. It's well, I get it. He's not been playing fantastic the last few weeks, but he's Jordan Spieth. It's in there. The ceiling is certainly there to catch up and make up all that ground. So. Yeah,
you wouldn't be that surprised if I told you Jordan Spieth won. That would be well, yeah, he wins the golf tournaments. So
right. One thing I want to mention before we move on, I want to ask you this question: are we underselling Cantlay? He starts with a 4-shot lead on Rahm, 3 on Bryson, and he's really, really good. Is everyone overlooking him by just not saying, "Look, he's starting with a lead. He's just as good as basically all these guys." He's got it. He's got the putter is lightning hot. Are we overlooking him when we shouldn't be?
Oh, man, that's a tough question. Did he use up too much juju last week?
Yeah, I mean, he had the horseshoe up his ass on the green. So, if it's still there, he's going to win. If not, then it's going to be interesting. But
he called himself Patty, or what do you call himself? Patty Ice.
Patty Ice. Here's an interesting stat for Cantlay that kind of it goes against my point, but I did want to just bring it up because I haven't seen anybody say,
Right.
"Oh, Cantlay's going to win this weekend." We didn't mention him. He's 26th out of the 30 guys in Bermuda putting over the last 50 rounds. That's not very good. So if he doesn't putt like he did last week, he's probably, where does he finish? He finishes like 6th. I mean, he was making – what was that stat I saw from 10 to 20 feet? He was 61%. The tour average is 25%. Like that's crazy stuff. So I did want to bring it up because I think he's in front and he's an awesome, awesome player. So, what if he goes out and shoots 60, 65 tomorrow and it's like, oh shit, Cantlay's like 7 up on everyone.
That was the bet I was talking to you about is he's plus 100 even odds to be the leader of the golf tournament after the first round. I actually don't think that's terrible. That's a terrible value. He's got a 2-shot lead. He always plays well when he gets in grooves. Like he's not a very sporadic player. He plays well, and then when he plays bad for a while, and then plays really good for a long time. He's gonna play pretty well. It's just a matter of can you play well enough to beat the best 30 players in the world. So I honestly kind of like that bet, and I have a favorite bet of the week coming up that we'll get to later that involves him and Jon Rahm.
Yeah. I just thought he was probably worth mentioning considering he starts in first and he's like top 5 golfer in the world probably in the rankings. Top 10s. This is where I think there's some good value this week because there's only 30 guys, and like you mentioned, each of the 2 years that we've been doing the starting strokes thing, 6 of the top 10 started at 3 under or worse. And that's right where my guy starts this week, Sungjae. He is kicking it off at 3 under this week. He is somebody that I always play when we go Bermuda. When we go south, I fire up Sungjae, and he's had a nice bounce back. He had kind of a rough start to the season. He was really sporadic, which is weird for Sungjae. He's pretty even for the most part, but he didn't really show up too much. He had a couple good finishes, but he missed some cuts and didn't really have any top 20s. But he's been on fire recently. 24th at the Wyndham, 16th at the Northern Trust, and 3rd last week with 8 straight weeks of gaining strokes on approach. And now we're headed to by far his best putting surface. He's 3rd strokes gained putting on Bermuda the last 50. If he can find that Bermuda putting stroke with his recent tee to green game, like he could be one of those people that wins the non-strokes portion of this, I think, because he's gained at least 1.2 off the tee the last 4 weeks. He's gained on approach in 8 straight, and he can really putt it on Bermuda. I think this course fits him really well. Get it in the fairway, put it on the green, and not make a ton of mistakes. I love him at plus 200 on the top 10. He doesn't have to jump hardly anybody. He starts 11th. So.
Yeah. This bet was my favorite bet of the week until I saw the card. Your card. No, I'm saying that's good. This is exactly what I wanted. He's been gaining on with his driver too, which is nice.
Yeah.
The thing when you play with these no-cut events, especially WGCs like this, these guys hit it so far. Like the best players in the world hit it really far, and they ball strike the shit out of it. Every single week they play well. That's who the best ones are. So if you can't keep up, it's hard to score, against these guys. So I like
especially over 4 rounds.
Right. I like that he's gaining off the tee and approach, like you said. Mix that with the Bermuda stuff, and it's like this will 100% be on my betting card.
Yep, definitely.
I got what are we doing first? We're doing okay. So we have a top 5s also.
Well, you have your top 10.
Okay.
Viktor Hovland.
So I'm going Viktor Hovland top 10 at 150. I like this is the range of guys that we talked about that we mentioned, the 2, that starting in that 2 to 3-ish range. I think he fits the course well with his ability to hit it far and hit greens, right? If you mix that with hitting greens constantly, he's going to have a good chance to score here. Bermuda is the only surface that Viktor Hovland gains strokes on. The only one. So I like that. He's not the best putter in the world. He never has been. But if he's neutral or even a little bit higher on Bermuda, then that's great for us. He he has the talent to like play with these these elite guys at the top. So I think if he'll come with the right mindset and understand that he belongs in this type of field, I really like him to top 10 at 150, and he's in that he's at that 3 range, where you don't have to jump that many people. You just have to keep playing up and up and up. That's all you have to do.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that can just ball strike his way into a super, super good week. His tee to green game is unbelievable. As long as his short game is like tolerable, he should be fine. Matchups this week are interesting. I did not see any just overall tournament matchups that don't count starting strokes, but I love my first one. Rory plus 130 over Cam Smith. Cam Smith starts at 5 in 5th place at 5 under. Rory starts at 2 under, so he's starting 3 behind. Rory has like shredded this golf course. Like this has been one of his best golf courses on tour. He can just bomb it around, and when his driver's on, he hits a lot of fairways. So he's given himself a ton of good looks, and he should be as motivated as anyone. He has not had a very good season in terms of like getting the wins that we thought he should have coming. He did win the Wells Fargo, but like that winning the Wells Fargo is like nothing to Rory McIlroy. So at plus 130 to only make up 3 strokes on a guy who sprays it off the tee. Now, Cam Smith's short game is really, really good, and this course definitely asks you to have a good short game. But Rory's got the easily firepower to make that up in a hurry, and I think he just loves this golf course.
Yeah, I saw the stat about him at the beginning of the week last week is he was hitting like every single fairway. And when that happens with Rory, that's bad news for guys.
That's when he wins, yeah.
Because he goes way farther than everybody, and he's in the middle. So
yeah,
I really like that. I like that, and I just talked about that earlier. Is that with playing with guys to the caliber that they are in this field, if you can't be really good at one thing, or you can't overpower people, or if you don't have something to bring to the table against these guys, you're going to get beat. And Rory has a couple of those things. He's going to hit it way past you. He's going to start hunting flags. And when he gets hot, he's Rory McIlroy. So yeah, I like this matchup. The strokes don't scare me. And Cam Smith would have to have a really good week to compete up at the top.
Yeah, Rory's finishes Tour Championship 8th, 1st, 7th, 1st, 16th, 2nd, 10th. That's all I need. So like he clearly can play this course well, and he's playing decent golf right now too, which he's not been like Rory, but he finished 4th last week, 12th 2 weeks before that. It's WGC. He's primed and ready for like one of those Rory weeks where he like storms all the way up and is like kind of scaring contention.
He won this event at 5. He came up and won. And he won by like 4 strokes too. It was like 3 or 4 strokes. It wasn't.
He smoked everybody.
Yeah, he killed everybody. So when he gets hot, especially at a place where he knows he can get hot at and take advantage of his length, it's a wrap if he plays well.
Yep.
I got Burns over English. It took me a while to find this matchup or even kind of land my finger on it, but it's plus 100. Sam Burns is a good Bermuda putter. It's kind of a theme on some of these guys we've been betting. They're starting in the same strokes. So you're kind of just almost just looking at it. So, just like kind of a normal tournament, strokes head tournament or head-to-head bet. He got top 5 of the WGC here recently, and then top 20 and a top 10 in his 2 playoff events, which I really like. He's been playing pretty well. He gains off the tee and he putts well. And if he putts well on Bermuda, and we're doing that this week, I really like his chances. I like Harris English. I've been betting him, but it's got to run out sometime. He's definitely performed well this year, but plus money on Sam Burns, and to be honest, there wasn't a lot of matchups that I really liked, so it was kind of hard to find one.
Yeah, you were coming from kind of a limited field. I like Burns a lot. He's one of those guys who, when he's on with the driver and irons, he can like gain as much as anyone, and his putting is like almost always there, particularly on Bermuda. English has been a decent amount of smoke and mirrors in terms of like weirdly he'll gain like 10 strokes short game for the whole week, and it's like, all right, well, are you going to do that every week type of deal? So I like it. It's straight up head to head.
Harris English has done his his like season work. Like it's over.
Yeah, he's done his damage already. Yeah.
You've had an amazing year, dude. Hats off. Like just get a glass of scotch afterwards and have fun to how much millions you won this year.
Right.
Sam Burns is going to perform well and kind of show out for himself and kind of be like, hey,
Definitely.
I can compete with these guys.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a really good showing for him thus far already in the playoffs to make it this far and have some really good finishes. So, I didn't find a penny stock pick this week because there's only 30 guys. It's kind of hard to find one.
EBR.
I was thinking about Billy Horschel because he's played really well here and he's a good Bermuda putter. And then you go look and he's like last in every stat. So sorry, Billy Horschel. I am instead going random 5-1. Will there be a hole in one? Yes.
Wow.
This makes no sense. There's only 30 guys playing 4 rounds. But there in 2019 there was 2 hole in ones. I'm not really sure the holes in one. And there's been only 5 in the history of this golf tournament. So we're trending up 2 in 2019, and I think we're going to get one this year. 5-1 seems like a fun little bet. Throw a few bucks on it. And there's a short par 3. There's a 150-yard par 3, so I would assume that's the most likely place for it to happen. Gives you something fun to watch for, and hopefully one of these elite guys makes a hole in one.
Well, I haven't looked at this, so I can't say this is 100% true, but I assume this is true, is that the best proximity players are probably in this field. So
most of them, yeah.
Right. So if you're going to go off that, then you have the best chances to get a hole in one. And what'd you say it was, 5?
Well, I tried to do some research. Trying to look up how many hole in ones has been at a tournament is difficult. But the PGA Tour puts out a media guide every year, and it lists every hole in one ever. At least it looks like every hole in one ever. And I searched for Tour Championship, and I found 5, 3 of which were not recent. So we'll see. There's a par 3 out there that can be had. 5-1 for the best players in the world for somebody to knock one in. And we've seen some hole in ones recently, so maybe we're on a little run.
Yeah, we're due. I'm unbelievably due on some special bets, so I like it.
Yeah, well, the margins. What are we thinking?
I'm going 2 and 3. I'm gonna switch up. I'm going farther back. I'm not even going towards the playoff because I hate playoffs and I don't want to bet it. But 2 and 3, it's 4-1 and then 550 for 3. So this tournament in the 2 years with stroke play has been 3 strokes and 4 strokes. So that's what I'm kind of going off of, because when you get one of these top guys and give him
an advantage,
right?
He's only trying to beat like 6 or 7 guys,
right? And if the odds are that people from the bottom will also play well, and then there's odds that the top guys will play not as good. So then you have the bottom guys trying to catch up with not enough room, and then you have top guys backing out. So there's like a little bit of a flux there, and then I hope somebody from that top half, like we talked about, can separate themselves. And I say this all the time, is when you have this many good players in the field, somebody's bound to play super well. And when someone plays super well, it's like they don't win with playoffs.
I think we saw DJ last year was up by like 6 going into like Saturday. The only thing that would make this interesting is if Cantlay and Rahm both played well, that might make things a little more interesting. But if like Cantlay comes back to the field and Rahm plays how we think he's going to play, he could be up like a ton. Like he could just blow everybody out. Same with Cantlay. Like if Rahm plays kind of average, and we don't see like good Bryson, Cantlay could like really distance himself.
Yeah.
And then I think this is a good tournament to take a shot on the longer odd 2, 3, 4 even ones, and just hope that one of those guys who are starting ahead just blows it out of the water. That's essentially what Rory did. He started at 5 and then just smoked everybody, like just killed them.
Yeah, the playoffs have been screwing me, and I'm not going to give in and give the playoffs more money than they've already taken me. So I'm not going to bet it. I'm going to keep on trucking. These things will cycle back around. They have lives. They change. The starting strokes helps. We're going 2 strokes and 3 strokes because it's better money. They owe us money. We're taking it from them.
Yep. All right. Best bets. I think I took yours originally, or I bet that you wanted to bet.
I'm going to bet it.
Justin Thomas, top 5. I'm all in on JT this week. I think he's got a really, really good shot to win. This course sets up perfectly for him if he can hit enough fairways, because from the fairway in, he's probably the best player, on tour besides some of the putting stuff. When he's out with his putter, he's by far the best. So plus 250 on the top 5. He's starting T6. So basically, as long as he doesn't go backwards on day 1, he's going to be in the mix for top 5 the whole week. I think I bet Xander on this same bet last year, top 5, and I think he started like T6 or T10. Basically, he's one of the elite guys, and he just has to stay where he's at.
Yeah, I mean, I listed off the finishes from 2016 earlier.
They're good.
They're unbelievable. So
yeah,
when the pressure starts to ratchet up,
he's a big time player.
Right. That's what I really like with him. This was my bet. And what's the number you have? 250, right? Yeah. So
250.
Top 5 on JT. I like it. I really, really like it.
Yeah, and I like yours too as kind of if you just want to put a bunch of money on one thing this week, this is where I'd go.
Yeah, Rahm or Cantlay to win plus 120. So this was a DraftKings double chance to win bet, I believe.
Yeah, it's like
And you get Rahm, who I think is going to win. And then if you want to hedge yourself a little bit with the guy who starts at the best odds, you just have to drop down from Rahm's 330 and get a 120, which is fine because now you have the guy who potentially could be in this lead by like 5 or 6 come Saturday.
Yeah.
And then hopefully you'll have both positions come Sunday, which would be obviously ideal. So I really like this. 120 is not the best number ever, but when you have a field like this, like the numbers always drop. That's just kind of how it is. You got to take some value where it is. I think Rahm's going to win. He's the best player in the world by far. Cantlay definitely has a chance because of how good he is and how he's starting. Let's just combine them, and I think this is a good bet.
Yeah, I'm going to I got to decide how I want to structure my actual betting card. I may just take JT and then bet this and just say, basically bet enough on this to cover, my JT bet. And I'll plus a little bit, and just ride those 3 guys. I think that's a good strategy. This will be a really, really fun week. I love having guys like Rahm and JT trying to chase people down in front of him on a course that you can score at. It's a difficult course, but if you put it in the fairway a bunch, you can score. And DJ's been crappy. Spieth's been just decent, but they're in the same position where if they can find something on the range and they can just hunt people down, there's some really, really good players coming from behind. Brooks is down there. Rory's down there. There's a bunch of the best players on planet Earth in birdie making chase mode, and that should make it for a really, really fun weekend.
Yeah, both years we've had a guy who started at 2 finish in the top 5, I believe. He might have been tied for, I think he's tied. It was Paul Casey and Scheffler. Scheffler started at 2 and finished way up there last year. And then Paul Casey, like I said. So you can, if you've got a couple guys that we've talked about and you like him, Rory's a perfect candidate for this. Is he can finish not only top 10 but top 5 or even be in the hunt for this thing. And so I like it, and hopefully we can kind of pick the right guys. One guy we haven't talked about I wanted to mention is Abe. What do you think about Abe? He's starting at 4.
He's playing really well. I wanted to try to find a matchup to play him in, and I just didn't find one because I do think this course makes a lot of sense for him. Yeah. But I don't think – I can't remember exactly, but I don't think his Bermuda stats were all that impressive. Oh, no, they are good. 6th in strokes gained putting on Bermuda, and he's been freaking unbelievable everywhere else. 2nd in strokes gained total over the last 50 rounds. I just didn't find a bet that I loved with him. They are pricing him pretty high because he's starting so high up there. So if you find something on Abe that you like, I'd have no problem with that. He's been good.
Yeah, his win was at the WGC, which I like too. He didn't
big time field.
Yeah, he didn't crap his pants all of a sudden when good players were around him. And he's had a really, really sneaky, really good year. A top 5 bet on him wouldn't be terrible. I don't know what those odds are. I don't have it pulled up, but I wouldn't hate that either.
He's got 8 top 10s this season. That's really, really good.
He's plus 330 to top 5, so I don't hate that. That's another bet I can.
Yeah, that's not a bad bet to try, definitely. But All right. Well, that's all we've got. We're probably going to take a couple-week break here. There's a week off, I believe, and then some Silverado, Colorado tournament that we're gonna skip, and then we'll be back for a Ryder Cup show. Just because the Ryder Cup's so much fun, and we'll do a little show around that. Put out a little card, depending on what's available, and then we'll be picking it back up weekly again after that.
And basketball, we can mention that. We're going to do some.
Yeah, Grant and I are gonna. We're working on a hoops thing coming up here for some over-unders. So it'll be here on the Sports 2.0 Network YouTube page and everywhere else that we stream. So be ready for that, and good luck.
If we can hit an outright, that'll be the third outright of the season. So that'll be not a terrible little record. We got kind of cold there for a couple weeks. Started off kind of hot, but if we have another week here, I would say that's a pretty good wrap to the season.
Yeah, I was going to go through and see how many we just barely missed because, man, I've been on a cold streak where I have just barely missed them. I missed Brooks at the PGA. We missed Neiman at the tournament where he made his only bogey of the whole week in the playoff.
In the fucking playoff.
And I missed Bryson last week. I've missed some really good opportunities. So I think we're a little bit due, I suppose. I guess you hit one last week, but I do think that at least I'm extremely due. So let's go, JT, and good luck, everybody.
See ya.